API call initiation. Basically, using version 2.0, you can actually initiate HTTP requests from your custom flows. Basically, you can do anything that you can do with Postman or call. In plain English, you can specify whatever HTTP operation you want to call. You can specify whatever header you want to use, multiple headers, whatever cookie. You have full access to responses, whether it's the cookies, headers, body, and you can capture them, store them in variables, use them in subsequent test steps, in subsequent API calls. You're free to do whatever you want with it. This is extremely useful for several use cases. First of all, it allows you to reset the application state quickly before starting a test. It allows you to skip complex or slow and repetitive UI flows in the middle of your UI tests. And it also, and very importantly, allows you to verify results that are only available on the backend. So for example, in our demo, at the end of the test, we actually posted a request to contact us. But how can we be sure that indeed all the details that we filled out in our request form were actually posted correctly on the backend? Luckily, our demo application exposes an API endpoint that allows us to get this information directly from the backend. Okay? And the way that we do it is that we just do a HTTP GET call to our sandbox application. This is the endpoint, get contact status. It takes a query parameter ID, where we will pass the request ID that we just captured, and it requires an access key that we pass as a header. So you can see it's just described in English. I can describe it in many other forms in English, but this is just as good as any. Let's copy it and paste it here and execute it. Now we can look at the results, and we can see that our request returned 200 OK status. There were no cookies returned. We have access to all the headers that were part of the response, and we have access to the response body, which is a JSON object in this case. I could also look at the request details if I wanted to, but let's not do it right now. Now, what I'd like to do is assert on that object. I can either access each individual request here. I can easily copy the value. I can copy the path to that property to assert on it. And I can even copy an entire assertion to the clipboard. I can do it at a specific property level, and I can just copy the entire payload and assert on it. Okay, so if I do that, and I paste it over here, it is a very long assertion. But once I enter it, the AI, the autocorrecting LLM, would split it into multiple steps. We can see that it also taking into account the variables and the parameters that we have already defined in this context. So it says verify that the response body data email field is an email, which is a parameter, making sure that the name matches the name, making sure that the contact reason is demo request, making sure that the date is this value, but this is constant. I don't want it to fail my next run, so I'll just remove it. Making sure that the status is submitted. Wonderful. I can let this test run to the end, making sure that it works, and I'm done.